study in brief about the institutional reforms or the land reforms. We have studied about these previously, so we will not focus much. The abolition of intermediaries. The intermediaries between the state and the actual tiller of the soil, which were known as the jamidars, have been abolished by the government, and ownership is given to the tillers of the soil. The regulation of rent. To put end to excessive and illegal extortion from the cultivator, the rent have been fixed. Generally, it is not exceed 1/3 of the value of crop. Consolidation of holdings. What government has done, that they have consolidated the holdings. If the farmers is having scattered holdings, government replace the holding at one place. It's what it benefits, it saves its cost of cultivation. Then ceiling on land holdings. With the view of promoting equality in the distribution of land, ceiling has been imposed on holding size. Ceiling on holding size is the maximum size of cultivated land holding that an individual or a family can own. In some areas of India, what the government has done, they fixed a size of land for the farmers, that a farmer cannot have more than 5 hectare land. So if someone is having 5 hectare land, the government has taken back the land, and surplus land was distributed among the farmers who are not having land or between the landless laborers. So this was a very important reform that we have taken. Then the cooperative farming. In many areas where the people are having the small holdings, what they done, they came together, they and mixed their farm, made a big farm, and then started cooperative farming, so that they can get more produce and they can sell their produce at a good price. General reforms. What general reforms we have done is the expansion of irrigation facilities. We have done a lot in the field of irrigation. Now we have canals in many parts of India for irrigation, so many people can produce the agricultural production in their farms. Provision of credit. Government has done a provision of credit so that the farmers can get interest from money on interest from credit societies on lower interest rate. The rural development banks have been established for the purpose. The credit societies has been formed. The NABARD, the regional rural bank, all commercial institutes have been set up for the purpose. Then regulated marketing societies or cooperative marketing societies have been formed by the government, so that the farmer can sell their produce timely and they can get payment timely, and they can sell their produce on a good price. And if they are not getting a good price, then what government has done, they introduce the price support policy. It means they are started giving minimum support price for the agricultural produce, and no one can purchase if the vendors are purchasing on lower price than the MSP, then farmer can go to the cooperative society to sell their produce and get the better option. The achievement of agrarian reforms can be seen in the form of Green Revolution. What was Green Revolution? The term green refers to crops and revolution refers to spurt or the growth. So together it says the spurts in crop production. It started happening in India in 1667 to 68 because at that time India was facing a severe crop shortage, food shortage, and the government introduced these policies, and that from that year we have increased nearly 25% of production and India became a self-sufficient country in the field of food production. Green Revolution is marked by two distinct phases. First phase, that was from 60 to 70, and the second phase, that was from 70 to 80. In the first phase of agrarian reforms, we were restricted largely to the increase in the production of wheat and rice, because at the time India was facing a severe shortage of food grains, and the target was in the state of Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, and these states have done a very good work in the field of crop production. Then the second phase, it was widespread in the country, covering most of the areas of the country, and in the larger number of crops. It means many type of new crops were introduced and were included in the Green Revolution. The main features or main characteristics of the second part was spurt in the crop productivity. What we have seen, you can go through the figures, you will see that there has been a very good jump in the field of in the aspect of crop productivity, and due to that the structural shift in agriculture was seen as people started producing the crops were not for the subsistence but for the earning profit as well. Then the substantial rise in acreage. Acreage, it means area under cultivation, because we were producing with HYV seeds, chemicals, pesticides, fertilizers, and we have increased the irrigation facilities. The substantial rise in acreage was seen in India. It means the area under cultivation was increased. Shift from subsistence farming to commercial farming. The outlook of farmers changed and farmers started working for the commercial purpose, not for the subsistence purpose. And they are started generating marketable surplus, and they are selling the marketable surplus in the market and earning a good profit. Change in farmers outlook, that we have seen in the last point. Self-sufficiency is food grain. We achieved the self-sufficiency in the field of food grain. So these stocks are used during periods of lean farm supplies. We are creating a good stocks that are called the buffer stocks, and all these were done just because of the Green Revolution. Now, the limitations of Green Revolution. What were the limitations? We have seen limited crops. We were not producing with all the crops. We have a limited number of crops. Our main focus was there on the wheat and rice only. Then uneven spread. The spread of Green Revolution was uneven. It was mostly in the state of Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu. But in the state of UP, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, we cannot see a good impact of Green Revolution. The limited farming population. It reached to a limited farming population. The farmers who are working on big fields, larger fields, and the farmers who are working on small fields, the small and the marginal farmers, they were elusive because the HYV seeds and the chemical pesticides are very expensive for them. and it create an economic divide, because now the farmers who are having a big land, they can use the techniques of green revolution and they are earning lot, so they became rich, and the other farmers, they became poor, and the gulf between the rich and the poor farmers was widened due to this. So that creates an economic divide between the farmers as well. Does India need another green revolution? Yes. If in obvious answer, we can say yes. Why? Because undisputedly we can say that green revolution has given a lot to us, but now the gains have started shrinking. This is particularly true when the gains are viewed in relation to our needs and in relation to what other countries have achieved. If we see that what other countries have achieved, it is far more than what we have achieved. Our productivity standards are extremely low. Our food grain stocks are at the point of uncertainty. Most farmers in India continue to face uncertainties of weather. The farmer continues to be exposed to uncertainties of the market, and loan waivers are becoming recurring feature in the economy. So to remove all these obstacles, all these 5 obstacles, we need another green revolution which works for to eradicate all these problems. So this is about agriculture in India. You should go through the exercise and you should prepare well with the exercise. Are given in the book, the questions and the answers, everything is given here in the book. So you should go through the exercise and prepare well. You will get notes for this chapter on the next day. Thank you.